while the aircraft did not crash, the end result was severe injuries for a lot of the crew and passengers. So for the people that always say, oh, turbulence can't get that bad, go through something like that and let me know what happens afterwards.
Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn a thirst and desire. You transform and up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes. Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn a thirst and desire.
Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. My name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel if you are new. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, my loyal royals. So good to see you. If you are new to the fam, welcome to the fam, my new loyal royals. So good to finally meet you. Welcome to another episode of Aviation Monday. And for today's Aviation Monday, usually I try and keep our facts really lighthearted and sweet and just to the point of just happiness. But one also has to remember there is a dark side to aviation as well when it comes to an airplane incident or accident. Now, as far as these facts go, as a disclaimer, please keep in mind, I am not trying to scare anybody. I am only just stating the facts that I've found. All resources will be left down in the description box down below. These facts just give us sort of a little something to think about, that while aviation is all sunshine and rainbows as it looks, at the same time, it hasn't always been that way. So with all that said, let's get right into these facts, shall we? So to start off this list, did you know? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean the turbulence is not there. This is something I want to start off with because something I noticed is that when passengers are in a rush to get out and get on the aircraft and get going, they seem to forget you can't see turbulence. You can't see it. So when you tell them that air traffic control wants to control the flow of traffic because of severe turbulence, the first thing out their mouth is, where's the weather? No one said anything had to do with weather. Nobody said anything about weather. Turbulence is something totally different from weather. You can have turbulence and no weather whatsoever. It's just something that happens. And according to the resources, the turbulence is actually getting steadily worse. There was a flight not too long ago, I believe it was Hawaiian Airlines. I'm not going to put the video in, but according to what that video showed, that plane went through some severe turbulence. And while the aircraft did not crash, the end result was severe injuries for a lot of the crew and passengers. So for the people that always say, oh, turbulence can't get that bad, go through something like that and let me know what happens afterwards. I know that comes off as a bad insult, but I need people to stop saying there is no turbulence, it's not that bad, I just want to go. Safety first, people. Safety first. The number one cause of plane crashes is pilot error. I know it sounds pretty scary to know, but it's the truth. The number one cause of plane crashes is pilot error, whether it be a misread of information for ACARs, or the wrong flight path is flown, or upon landing, the flaps at the wrong setting. Pilot error. Pilots are human just like anybody else. And unfortunately, a lot of pilot errors have caused airplanes to ultimately fall. But as time has progressed, a lot of pilot training has gotten better over the years. So there are less and less pilots that are causing crashes. But even still, unfortunately, pilot error will always be the number one reason for airplane crashes, according to resources. Hopefully that changes in the future as pilots training does increase with a better level of integrity. But other than that, that's kind of the number one cause of plane crashes for now. The deadliest aviation accident in history occurred on the ground between two fully loaded 747s, killing 583 people. This particular accident was known as the Tenerife accident, and it was an accident between KLM and Pan Am. One aircraft was set to take off, One aircraft was just set to taxi on the runway. It caused a disaster for 583 people to lose their lives. It is one of the most well-known accidents in history. If you wish to look it up, I will put a link down below to the source for Wikipedia, as well as the source for Air Crash Investigations video. They did a very good job when it came to talking about that accident, and as far as recreating and showing how things took place. But the Tenerife accident was the worst, is currently known as the worst accident in history. Hopefully it never happens again. I don't think it's happened ever since, but another factor that played a part in that accident was fog. Where they were out on the ground, it was fog that was so thick it was impossible to see. So when one aircraft started to take off while the other one was taxiing, they could not see each other until the last split second. And unfortunately, it would cause the two to collide and thus end up killing those people. So that unfortunately links to the second fact on this list of pilot error. But yeah, hopefully it never happens again. But that's something that occurred, and it will forever be in history currently as the worst accident ever. Lack of maintenance can lead to deadly consequences. Lack of maintenance can lead to deadly consequences. A prime example of this is Japan Airlines Flight 123. I have done an entire video on this last year on Halloween. If you would like to see that video, I will link it up in the cards up top, as well as put a link down below in the description box. But anytime that we have maintenance on a flight, there's always that one person that says, why can't we just go without it? Why can't you just fix it later? Are you serious? Are you serious? Fixing it later could mean an ultimate disaster. I'd rather take the time out and have a delay to fix what's wrong ahead of time versus getting up in the air and being sorry that it wasn't fixed before. Japan Airlines Flight 123 had improper maintenance done after a tail strike in which the aircraft flew numerous times afterwards, and that tail strike had been improperly repaired. Thus, on its final leg of the day that it fell out the sky, shall we say, the back part of the aircraft pulled apart. The tail section pulled apart from the rest of the fuselage, thus causing the aircraft to stall out and fall out the sky into the mountainside, killing everyone on board. So maintenance is something that's definitely very important when it comes down to it. If you're the type that you're too impatient to wait for your flight to be fixed, whatever's wrong with it, however long it may take, there are ultimately different modes of transportation that you can take. There's the bus, there's your car, you can take the train, or if you choose to, walk. But honestly, lack of maintenance will definitely cause many problems. There have been several different other accidents, but one of the most well-known was Japan Airlines Flight 123. There is an average of 6,392 plane crashes per year, 1,662 of which are in the United States. I know it sounds like a big number, but technically it's not all that big of a number. Yes, that is a lot of plane crashes, especially like in general, that's a lot of plane crashes. But you have to remember, that's plane crashes throughout the entire history of flight. When it comes down to passenger flights, cargo flights, military, private, that's including all of those. If you were to take that number and just break it down to just passenger flights, that's not a lot at all. It's a very small number. And you have, I think, a less than a 0.1% chance or something like that of being involved in an airplane crash. Because when it comes down to it, even though there have been a lot of crashes in history, technically, air travel is still the safest mode of transportation. You have a better chance of dying in a car crash on the way to the airport than you do having traveled in the air. So I say that to say, don't let that number scare you. Because while there's a lot of bad that happened with aviation, those bad and unfortunate loss of life is what has caused us to have better rules and regulations in place from the FAA or Federal Aviation Administration today. Because, as I've been told in the past, it takes a tragedy to make a change. And unfortunately, there have been many tragedies that have caused many changes over the course of the years in aviation. So keep this in mind, that while there are a lot of bad, aviation is fun. It's something fun to learn about. Taking a flight is very fun. The thrill of the takeoff and landing, yes, it can get a little boring while you're in the air, but it's still one of the safest modes of transportation. It's the fastest mode of transportation, especially if you're going on a long haul way. But other than that, that's pretty much it when it comes down to the scary aviation facts. Granted, there are more, but these are the ones that I picked out. I will leave my resources down below as well, so you can check those out. Again, I will leave the resource for the Tenerife accident if you wish to look that up, as well as watch Air Crash Investigations' rendition of it as well. They've done a very good job again about showing everything that occurred from the start to the finish, and I hope that you do give it a watch. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you do. Please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends, family, and other aviation enthusiasts. Please follow me over on Twitter at DragonPink07. If you are interested in travel and aviation, please do subscribe to my channel, as I would highly appreciate it. Now, before you go, I do have one last bonus for you. There have been as many as 84 missing aircraft since 1948. Let that sink in for a minute. See you in the next video. Bye.
Never say forever fall into the